50 years ago, to be exact, on June 1, 1969, Colonel Chukwuemeka made the following statements in his now famous Ahara Declaration. He said that the Federation of Nigeria is today as corrupt, as unprogressive, and as oppressive and irreformable as the Ottoman Empire was in Eastern Europe over a century ago. And in contrast, the Nigerian Federation, in the form it was constituted by the British, cannot by any stretch of imagination be considered an African necessity. Yet, we are being forced to sacrifice our very existence as a people to the integrity of that ramshackled creation that has no justification either in history or in the freely expressed wishes of the people. Welcome to Iroko Post TV. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. Since the end of the Biafran War in 1970, and since the return of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, several men have continued to agitate for a return to Biafra. Among those men, none has captured the imagination of the world as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the director of Radio Biafra and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He's currently on a tour of the United States, and Iroko Post TV met him in New York City to find out how it has been going. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, welcome to Iroko Post TV.
Thank you very much.
So, how has it been?
It's been great. It's tiring, sometimes exhausting, but by the grace of the Almighty that we worship Chukwuemeka, we're here today and we're giving thanks.
So you had a town hall meeting here in New York on Sunday.
Yes.
What is your impression?
I was pleasantly surprised, but not shocked at the turnout. A lot of people came. The hall were able to contain as much as we would have loved it to. Several of them had to stay outside and had to address them afterwards. It was very good, very exhilarating. A proper town hall encounter, I would say.
Yeah. You were in Atlanta, I believe.
Yes,
you were in Canada.
Yeah.
Can you say what impressed you most in experiences so far? I believe you are still continuing the tour.
Sadly, the tour has come to an end.
Oh, it's finished. Yeah.
New York was the last one.
Okay.
You can categorize it in two ways. One was seeing our people was a very great feeling. Preaching this very gospel of Biafra restoration was quite encouraging, something that we're used to. But the level of engagement and interaction was also quite deep, deeper than before, and more so in New York. You had a lot of doubting Thomases, people who never believed that this was possible, people who thought that I wouldn't last this long, that the usual thing would happen, that I will sell out or collect money from those that be, to kind of water down our agitation, but that hasn't happened. So that sort of attracted even more people than I had expected. There was this consensus also across the board that our people need to rise up and support what IPOB is doing, which is very great.
Were there any disappointments?
No, not at all. I expected robust engagement, and we had it, especially in New York.
Yeah, we were very good in New York. Well, let's represent. Now. Do you think you accomplished what you came to America to accomplish?
Yes, we did. A lot of our people are even more enthusiastic now than before. Now they've seen me, now they've met me, had able to ask questions, and I'm able to address their concerns and their issues. Now they're more than willing to participate in this great march towards freedom. I'm sure you heard about the proclamation of WIC, their president, who came out enthusiastically to support, and a few other Igbo groups as well. And so also in Houston, Texas, some groups from the so-called Niger Delta as well. So we are making a lot of progress.
Now, you said that on July 3rd, 2020,
yes,
that you plan to hold a march on Washington, D.C. You said during the New York town hall. You also said that 4 weeks after that march, that something will happen.
Yes.
What will happen?
We always get asked this question all the time when we meet dignitaries and officials and government and functionaries all over the world. They always ask us, are you sure there are Biafrans in America? I had a meeting in D.C. and I said yes. They said, but we don't know them. Who are they? So it is very, very important that the people you claim you're fighting for actually come out to say that you are fighting for them. I cannot go to see the US government without being introduced by our people. So for me to make my contact official, or what we are doing official with the US government, we need our people to come out in solidarity on the 3rd of July of next year to say that yes, we have given IPOB the mandate to speak on our behalf. So that is what that very much represents, in essence.
And 4 weeks after that,
many things will happen.
you don't want to say, oh, no. All right. No. There are people, well, somebody asked you the question about the march. How many people do you expect, or do you think is needed to make the American society notice that there are Biafrans, as you said?
We need to surpass Martin Luther King's numbers. Yes, it's huge. So we're looking at about 2 million people. Not just Biafrans, we need African Americans who are interested in the freedom, not just for Biafra, but the whole of Africa, because Biafra represents the hope of the entire black race on this very earth. So we also expect other groups as well to join us. So it's not just about Biafra, it's about the whole of Africa.
Somebody asked, I think maybe on Facebook, said, why don't the movement start having marches in every state in the Federation to prepare for the march in Washington, to go to Washington straight? What do you think about that?
It's a very good idea, and I'm sure we should be able to do that. Next year, a precursor to that will be our 30th of May. We will march in every state of America, and then come 3rd of July, we then descend on Washington.
Now, for those who do not know, can you explain the step-by-step plan to get Biafra? How do you intend to achieve this Biafra? There are a lot of people who may think they know the IPOB plan to achieve Biafra. Can you state?
I only have 3 stages when we commenced. One is to sensitize, inform, educate our people. Second one is to conduct a referendum. And the third one is to march.
So where are we?
We are the second one.
That is to
conduct a referendum. And that referendum is to validate the role that IPOB is playing in the restoration of Biafra. Because our people are very fond of saying, who did you derive your authority from? Who asked you to do this on my behalf? You're going to save somebody and they're asking you, who asked you to save me? You've allowed me to drown, for instance. So what we're doing is to go to our people and say to them, do we have your mandate to continue doing what we're doing, in essence? And if that comes back as a yes, then we proceed. Full steam ahead.
What time frame are you looking at?
Months, not weeks, more or less. Not even months.
To achieve Biafra.
To achieve Biafra. Only God in heaven can determine, but as mortals, we are going to do all we can within our powers to make sure that comes as soon as possible.
Is there anything that can hasten it up? Do you see?
Yes, the participation of those of you in America. If you had done this work before now, I wouldn't be here to start with, and we would have gotten Biafra. There are so many of you in America, so many of you. Rather than working at cross purposes, what the platform of IPOB does is to present our people with a clearinghouse of ideas, an opportunity to coalesce around something that has been tried and tested that you know wouldn't fail, in order for us to collectively march forward to get Biafra. Have some of you here been addressing your senators, your congressmen and your congresswomen, bombarding them with letters, complaints, marches every blessed, say a couple of months, give or take, about the need to support Biafra? Then our work will be a lot more easier. Well, because our people, rather than be concerned about what is happening to us back home or to those who are back home, prefer to take comfort in the beautiful life that America has to offer.
It's not only America, in Britain maybe it's the same too.
No, because in the UK we are far more enlightened about Biafra than any other place. I think Germany comes very close second. Yes.
All right. Now let me ask you about who are your heroes when you look at yourself and when you were growing up. Who are your heroes? Who do you look up to? Maybe people who are dead or alive. Who are your heroes?
My heroes are Oluwadara Ikwena, those that drowned in the creeks of Savannah in Georgia, that refused to be slaves. My strong inspiration I got from them. Patrice Lumumba of the Congo. Donatu Sibamoka is from MBC, is a lecturer professor at UNM, very intelligent. One of the most intelligent men I've ever met, or I believe that ever lived. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for seeing things that nobody saw and warning Zeke accordingly, which he ignored, to very disastrous consequences today.
Just for the purpose of our viewers, what did Mazi Nnamdi Kanu?
He warned Zeke that this experiment of one Nigeria will backfire. He told Zeke. He said it in Igbo actually. Zeke decided to march forward with this One Nigeria project, which has led to many deaths, and many people are still dying till today. And also, of course, our eternal leader and our supreme leader, of course, of this very movement. And of course, my father for giving me the platform to express myself and my convictions without any contradiction.
Now, when you look at the civil rights movement, they had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, they had the Black Panther leaders. Is there any of them that you think is more close to your approach to this struggle? Because if you look at the Biafran struggle, there are so many other people who are involved in different organizations.
I would say it's a mixture of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, a bit of each.
Why do you say that?
Because when it's time for us to agitate aggressively, we do. When it's time for us to sit down with people and discuss a way out of this mess, we also do.
Are you still willing to discuss with people?
Yes, I will talk with the Middle Belt people and the Yorubas as to how we can save our land from the incursion that is coming from the north.
Now, at the town hall meeting,
not about Nigeria, not to save Nigeria.
Yeah, well,
God forbid.
Okay, at the town hall meeting, while you were answering questions from the audience, you essentially dismissed a congressional roundtable that was attended by Tony Nnadi of the Lower Niger Congress.
Yes.
You questioned whether he was telling the truth about his going there and meeting officials, and you gave your audience the impression that there is a kind of bad blood between you two. Can that be true? What is going on?
There is no bad blood. I respect everybody who is doing something to bring either awareness or to highlight the sufferings and the pains of the people. What I take issue with is people trying to misrepresent the fact. Because I hate lies and I wouldn't be engaged in one myself. When I see people lying, it is my responsibility and my duty to expose it. The Congressional Roundtable, as you well know as a journalist, is about Leah Shuaibu and the victims of Fulani genocidal march through the Middle Belt. It wasn't about Biafra and not about any Lower Niger of any sort. And I find it objectionable that people would seek to misrepresent what is obviously a fact on the table. That's what I take offense with. I have respect and regard for whoever is doing whatever to try and highlight the suffering of our people or other people for that matter. Because I am on record as having said that Biafra is not just about the salvation of the entire eastern Nigeria, by which I mean Niger Delta and the South-South. Biafra is about the salvation of the black man as encapsulated in a Hero Declaration and forcefully put, and also black people all over the world. Anybody who subscribes to the view that Biafra should be free is also fighting for their own personal freedom, wherever they may be domiciled around the world.
Now, in answering that question, you said two things that were interesting to me. You said, I cannot lie in the name of Biafra.
Absolutely.
Implying that pretending that they lied?
No. I don't discuss. It's for people like you to investigate.
Okay.
I'm not a journalist.
Okay, but people might go home, people in the audience might go home feeling that you are saying, when you say somebody asked a question about somebody else, you said, I cannot lie, and obviously that person was lying. And also you said something interesting. You said that I cannot tell you what I cannot do, something like that. It's something like that. There are some things you can do. You are not going to tell people what you cannot do.
Absolutely.
There are some things you cannot do.
Of course, I mean.
All right, that's interesting because I found that because I found that very interesting. Now let's look at this other issue of a lot of references in your talks to divine instruction.
Yes.
And mandate from heaven.
Yeah, absolutely.
On Sunday, you said that I stand on a mandate from heaven. In fact, people come to you and you pray for them.
Yes.
And sometimes you even they kneel down and bow and some.
They kneel and bow to God.
Okay, yeah. But that's the perception out there is that they are bowing to Nnamdi Kanu because that's what people see. Now, but the question is this: some even call you a savior. Now, some different supporters find that troubling. You know that some people who actually are fan of what you're doing, they find that.
What is troubling about it?
Well, yeah, that's a woman actually raised the issue at the town hall, and you gave the answer. You gave the answer by referring to Lord Lugard. Yeah, exactly. That's what you said. You said that if they call him Lord Lugard, what is the problem with calling you?
No, not what is the problem. Is the misconception that I have issues with. I'm not going to call me. I'm a Republican by nature. I even told my father that when Biafra comes, his throne will be. Yes. I will take the axe to it, and my mom will cook a pot of okasi soup with it for me. I don't believe in chieftaincy titles. I don't believe in royalty. I don't believe in anybody being above anybody else. I don't believe in all that. And I don't believe in people bowing down to anybody. If I meet an Oba, the Yoruba ruler, I'll shake his hand. If he doesn't want, I will walk away from his presence. I don't believe anybody bowing down to me either, because I'm a mere mortal. There's been a lot of misunderstanding. I've said it repeatedly that IPOB decided to call the Supreme Leader Lord and Savior in reaction, is a tongue-in-cheek, in reaction to some of the aspersions that our detractors were casting towards my direction. That if you fail to understand that somebody who went to prison on your behalf deserve a little bit of appreciation, and instead of appreciation, out of jealousy, greed, and envy, you think and disparage him whilst we are here. Those of us is fighting for. In return, they decided.
But you can say to them, if somebody is trying to buy, say, get up.
No, they're not bowing.
I know. You said it, you explained it to me.
Yes.
But people who are seeing it, the interpretation they're getting is that they're bound to. You can say, get up. You don't have to. If someone says you are the savior, you can say, I'm not the savior. Don't call me that. Don't say that. We understand. I understand that you appreciate what I did, but you don't have to say that. You know how
I call me Lord.
Yeah, if you want that. If somebody calls me, oh, you're a genius, I say, no, I'm not a genius, because I'm not. If you call, I don't need a title. I'm happy you know that it's actually a fundamental issue for the Igbo people. You know, we are Republicans. We don't believe in these hierarchies. So for someone to now say, I'm a savior, or I'm a lord, or I like the way you said you are Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, to have Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be also a savior, you know, that's kind of,
we are willing to.
But
so what you're saying now to me is this: that some people who may have this message resonate within them are reluctant to participate because of my assumed title. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, they feel that this is not the Igbo Republican spirit that they know. That they also see this and say, if you say supreme leader, you know the first thing that comes into the minds of a lot of people, the North Korean leader. Actually, it's the only supreme leader that we know, and I don't think he wants exactly. I don't think you want to be the next one. You know, Kim Jong-un, Ayatollah, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
I am a supreme servant. Is that okay?
That's it. That's another thing.
But the word supreme is still there.
Yes, okay. It's the ultimate servant. That could change the perception. I think the issue is really about perception. There's so many things that we'll get to, but it's all about.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I am no supreme leader. It's a nickname to start with. And I have said that I shouldn't be called a supreme leader. I am a supreme servant of the people. I am not a lord, and I am not a savior. Chukwuka saves people, but people see what we are doing, or people interpret the role that we are playing in the emancipation of our people to represent some kind of, effort to save the people who are drowning. If you remember when you interviewed me a few years ago, I said a few things. And you will also agree with me that those things are not coming to fruition. Bar none. Now, if you look at that and take it into context, but some people call me a prophet, and I'm not a prophet of religious or biblical sense. But I say things and they come to pass. That is why I say I am under divine instruction. Anything I say must come to pass, because Elohim said so. That if I say something, it will happen. That is why I'm a bit mindful of the things that I say, because everything I say comes to pass.